2024, and you are still recovering from terrible news you received a few months ago. Despite everything, you tried to move forward and continue with a cosplay project that was very important to you. However, because the news was so overwhelming, you simply lose motivation and feel like you're stuck in a hole. You don't know what to do, nothing interests you, and you just want to sleep all day. One Sunday, while watching the latest One Piece episode, Nami's various outfits caught your attention. You start researching more about them, considering the possibility of making relatively simple cosplay of hair to try to break free from your lack of motivation. During your research, you discover that in the manga she wears a brand new outfit, a futuristic one, with a pastel color palette. It's the outfit from the new arc, Egghead Island. Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. I'm Marisa and welcome to the first episode of Cosplay, Secrets Unlocked. Today's focus, Nami's Egghead version from the One Piece manga and anime. In this video, we will explore the different secrets, details, materials, and the stories behind how I made my Egghead Nami costume with LED boots with smoke effects, LED headphones, a social Clima-Tact that releases real smoke and bubbles, and much more. I decided to create this version of Nami because I found her design very interesting, especially the boots. I felt it was a great opportunity to apply many of the techniques I've learned over time. Plus, I think the colors of these outfits are really beautiful. Let's get started with the video. The boots were the first part of the costume I made, and also the most complex of the entire cosplay. I almost went crazy. I decided to start with them because I knew that if I managed to make them, the rest of the outfit will be much easier. For the base, I used EVA foam and contact cement. In total, I had to make them 3 times, as I couldn't find a size or shape that fully combines me. On the third attempt, I thought to myself, if this doesn't work, I'm done. But hey, it worked! Once I was happy with the shape and proportions, I created paper patterns so I could replicate them for future projects. I focused on gluing and sanding the different places to achieve a better finish. I used transparent Christmas ornaments 7 cm in diameter for the front part of the boot. Then I moved on to the sole, for which I used EVA foam base, wooden cylinders, and a pair of sandals. The wooden cylinders were custom made by a local carpenter, according to my exact measurements. He said it was a strange request that it would take longer than usual, and for a moment I worried that they wouldn't turn out as I needed, but in the end they were perfect. Mental note, never doubt crossblend with decades of experience. I glued the EVA foam base and cylinders together with contact cement. Once it was done, I used cyan acrylate to attach the sandals to the base. This is an ultra powerful glue, so be careful not to stick your fingers together and make sure to work in a well-ventilated area, speaking from experience. Now that I remember, I have a friend that used cyanoacrylate to glue prostheses to his face. Apparently, this glue also has medical purposes and is used by surgeons to rapidly seal deep wounds in the body. Disclaimer, do not try this at home, please. Additionally, I added elastic bands to the sandals so they will wrap around my ankle, providing greater comfort while walking. Then I proceeded with the painting. I painted the sole silver and the EVA foam pieces on the sides in a color similar to the fabric I will use to cover the boots. These pieces receive a 7-layer of a mixture of water, wood glue, and baby powder, applied before painting. The baby powder helps smooth the surface once dry and corrects any irregularity. I also paint the front spheres of the boots, but I painted them from the inside. Since they are transparent, the color shines through evenly, giving more natural and polished glow. To cover the boots, I used stretch vinyl, an elastic fabric with a shiny smooth effect. This material has different names depending on the country and city. I shaped the fabric based on the boot patterns, but I reduced the number of pieces so that the seams will be less visible. Once soon, I placed the fabric over the boots and glued the top and bottom parts with contact cement. At this point, the boots were really coming together and I was so happy for it. Next, I added various details, such as the triangle on the front, the light pink trim on the top edge, and the trim on the bottom of the boot. For the bottom trim, I originally tried using aluminum tape, but don't do it, it didn't work. It wrinkled and peeled off after a few uses. Next, I work with Velcro. I don't really like using it because it easily snags on different fabrics and stockings, potentially ruining them. However, for this project, I strategically placed small pieces to avoid issues. Spoiler, a piece of velcro got caught on my stockings and ruined them. A mistake on my part. Why did I use velcro instead of just attaching the sole directly to the boot? Because I needed to add LED lights. And now for the fun parts, yes, the lights. I used 4 circular LED strips and placed them inside the wooden cylinders. These LEDs are 7 centimeters in diameter, and I route the wires through a hole between the sole and the sandals so that the batteries will be hidden inside the boot. Thanks Javier for helping me solder. I really need 3 hands to do it properly. Once we confirmed everything was working and found a light pattern that we liked, we decided to add stitches so we could turn the boots on and off whenever we want, preventing the battery from draining too quickly. For the side panels of the boots, I used small disposable lights that emit a blue cyan glow, just like in the outfit references. These lights have their own switch and battery, making it easy to turn them on whenever we need. And at the last moment, Javier and I had a crazy idea. Hey, what if we just add smoke to the boots? In the anime opening, the boots appear to emit a smoke when taken off, so we figured out a way to replicate it. Thankfully, the boots were large enough to have plenty space for wires, batteries, and other mechanisms. During the process, we accidentally burned a couple of babes because we messed up with the voltage settings. I still remember saying, "Why is it working?" And then suddenly a burning smell filled the room. To simulate the smoke effect, we used a small babes with an air pumper that expels glycerin vapor through a tube, directing it outside so the smoke could be released from the boots. In this case, I got the tube from a medical serum infusion set that I bought in a drugstore. Once all the final adjustments were made, we attached the sole to the boots, and the final result was a pair of stunning futuristic boots. By the way, the boot pattern is available on my website. If you want to make your own boots without going crazy, you can purchase my pattern, link in the description. And also please take a look to all these beautiful people that decide to take care of their mental health and use my pattern. Thank you so much. For the headphones, I thought it would be difficult to add lights to such a small piece, but I trusted in the power of LEDs and in the end we got a great result. I started cutting transparent Christmas balls 10 centimeters in diameter to make them flatter and smaller. Then I sanded them to remove any sharp or rough edges. After that, I applied masking tape inside and used a marker to draw a couple of circles to paint the headphones. This way, when I cut and painted them, an unpainted ring was left for the LED light to shine through. I made the other pieces, such as the headbands, the antennas, and then painted them. Again, I applied 7 layers of the water, wood glue, and baby powder mixture before painting. I also wanted to mention that midway through painting, I ran out of pink paint, and the brand I used was sold out everywhere, and I had to buy a very similar one. It was sad, but at least I found something close. Once everything was painted and dry, I proceeded to make holes for the cables. I glued the antennas with cyanoacrylate, as it is a transparent glue that dries quickly, and since only a small amount is needed, the joints wouldn't be noticeable. Next, we work on soldering the Arduino board and the LEDs to start testing codes. For the sides of the headphones, I use round LEDs, and for the headband, I use COB LEDs, which are smaller and closer together, allowing for a better light diffusion. This part was a bit tricky since we want a specific lighting pattern with certain colors, but once we were happy with the code, we started assembling the LEDs into the painted headphone pieces. To diffuse the LED lights better, I used fabric padding for the sides and paper interfacing for the headband. Additionally, for the headband, I placed a polycarbonate sheet over the paper interfacing. This transparent plastic has some flexibility, which helps achieve a clean and even glow. Also, this doesn't appear in the video, but I glued a couple of hair clips inside the headphones so they could be attached more securely to the wig. Finally, the battery is a power bank with a USB cable, which is separate from the headphones and hidden between the wig and the bodysuit's hood. And that's it! We now have beautiful LED headphones. The rainbow effect is not canon, but I love adding it whenever I can because it looks incredibly cool. Moving on to the wig. For this part, no one of the Nami's wigs available online convinced me in terms of colors, so I decided to buy an Asuka wig from Evangelion, since I found a shade that was very pretty and natural while still maintaining the characteristic orange color. For Nami's wig, I used an Asuka wig. This also had the added benefit of having more hair, so I unstitched the wefts and sewed them onto the back of the wig to give it an extra volume. After that, I start crimping the hair. I always do it diagonally because it helps blend the crimper lines more naturally. I constantly brush the hair to check how visible the lines were, and if necessary, I use a flat iron to smooth them out. To make the hair wavy without using a curling iron, I run a flat iron over a strand, and while it was still hot, wrap it around the handle of a brush. I wait for it to cool, and ta-da, a perfect wavy strand. I repeat this process throughout the entire wig, except for the front part, where I will later style the side pieces and bangs. For the bangs and side pieces, I first cut the strands of the length I thought would be best based on my height. Once I was happy with the length, I teased the hair to create more natural volume, especially on the roots, where the crimper sometimes struggle to reach, or at least I struggle with it. With the help of a flat iron and got to be, I shaped the strands to resemble Nami's hairstyles as much as possible. I loved the final result, honestly. Finally, I sealed the ends with transparent contact cement to prevent them from splitting. That's right, friends, I still don't have a 3D printer, so we are still making small pieces out of EVA foam. We started by cutting 2 EVA foam circles and gluing them together with contact cement. It looks like a little cookie. This will serve as the base for our log post. Then we continue with the wristband, and since my hand is very small, I didn't need to create an opening to slip it on, so I just glued it directly to the base. The next step was sanding the edge to create a round border. Then, using a fine-tipped pencil, I drew lines around the little watch, as seen in the video. After that, I used a Dremel tool with a small tip to give it a wooden kinda texture effect. At this point, I got distracted and started working with resin before applying the layers of the water, wood glue, and baby powder mixture. I don't know why, but basically I used resin molds I already had at home to create a semicircle with the different arrows. I decided to add a little green dye on the resin so it will be better resembled to the anime references. Continue with the little watch, I applied the coating layers, and once it was dried, I added a layer of black paint. Honestly, I still don't remember why I did that, but I did it. Well, after that, I painted it with sand-colored acrylic paint as a base. I painted inside the engraved lines made with the Dremel tool using brown paint to give it depth and enhance the wood texture. Finally, I glued the semicircles with cyanoacrylate, which, as I mentioned before, is perfect for attaching small pieces. When I started working on the bodysuit, I realized that I had just the right amount of fabric for the outer layer, the one with a shiny multicolored effect, which, by the way, I found under the name of pearlescent lycra. So, I decided to first make this part with a different fabric, a lycra with similar elasticity, but one I had plenty of at home, perfect for making all the possible mistakes. After that, I unstitched the sample and labeled each piece to avoid confusion, then traced them onto the final fabric. For the edges on the hood, I decided to use a furry kind of fabric as padding to give it a fluffy look. I finished it by sewing along the edges, adding the zipper and applying the SSG vinyl design. And at this last step, I almost burned the bodysuit while ironing the SSG vinyl design. Luckily, nothing serious happened and I didn't lose it, because that would have been terrible and I would have cried a lot, especially since it was the last step. But yeah, it didn't happen. The side pouch was made with nylon type fabric with a 3mm EVA foam layer inside for stability. I ended up hand stitching each piece as I felt it more comfortable and precise. Then I hand sewed it onto the bodysuit so it wouldn't move out of place. I could have used Velcro, yes, but as I mentioned earlier, I don't like using it because it can get caught on fabrics or stockings and ruin them. To finish, I added snap buttons at the front and back of the lower parts of the bodysuit to keep it from riding up with movement or accidentally slipping down. The bodysuit and pouch pattern are available on my website, link in the description. What if I told you that a children's toy was the key to everything? We have finally reached the craziest part of the entire custom, the one I never expect to work so well and honestly thought would be impossible to make. We start by buying a bubble wand, a simple toy, but one that contained the main mechanism needed to generate bubbles effectively. But first, how does a bubble machine work? A bubble machine works by supplying air and bubble liquid. For it to function properly, both elements must be supplied efficiently. To achieve this, in our prop, we use small tubes, cannulas, that will extend along the Clima-Tact central tube, the same that I use for the boots. Next, we disassembled the bubble wand and extracted the internal mechanisms. Then we soldered 3.6 voltage batteries and 3 different switches, one to release bubbles, another to release smoke, and a third for the air needed to push the smoke. Once the buttons were soldered, we placed them inside the Clima-Tact central tube and started testing the prototype. And yes, it worked. Bubbles with the smoke came out, but not as many as we want. We realized that the liquid tube was too long, reducing the efficiency of the pump. It's like to try to drink soda through an extra long straw. You have to put in a way more effort. So, we shortened the distance to make better use of the pumping force, allowing more bubbles to come out. Soon after, we realized that having 3 buttons wasn't necessary, as we could merge the air switch and the smoke switch into one. So, in the end, the prop has 3 buttons, but only 2 actually work. For the visual design of the Clima-Tact, I decided to commission 3D printed end pieces. Since the design is semi-spherical, making it out of EVA foam would have been much harder, plus it wouldn't be able to open for maintenance, and it wouldn't be as durable when placed on the ground. Huge thanks to Brandon Maker for understanding my idea and modeling the shape exactly as I needed. For the rest of the parts, I used EVA foam, PVC pipes, and something highly toxic called magic clay and its hardener. This helped me give the central part of the Clima-Tact the correct shape. Then I continued with painting. I used orange and white spray paint to give the pieces their final look. Once everything was painted and dry, it was time for assembly. We inserted the tubes along the PVC pipes, connected the plugs and installed the smoke motor, filled the bottle with bubble liquid and sealed it well to prevent leaks, plugged in the batteries and closed everything up. And yes, this entire process was very experimental, but it was also a dream come true. I'm so happy it worked and that the final result turned out to be so amazing. Clima-Tact is ready, yay! So, going back to the beginning, I can say that this costume helped me distract myself from the difficult time I was going through. We all have problems, anxieties, and moments of sadness. And you're probably going through something similar in some way. Maybe cosplay can also be your escape and a way to move forward, to gain confidence, and to believe in yourself. I had the opportunity to wear this cosplay at several events, including serving as a judge at the World Cosplay Summit Canada during the Takuton convention in Montreal. The World Cosplay Summit is an annual event where more than 40 countries compete to determine who is the best in the world. I had the honor of being a judge alongside 3 other judges, selecting the duo that will represent Canada in 2025 in Nagoya, Japan. Congratulations, Team Dragon Moth, and I wish you the best this summer. It was amazing to put my costume to the test at a major event, especially since the venue was huge. The only downside was that I had to turn off the smoke feature in my boots because it was not allowed in the venue. Still, I was surprised by how well I managed to walk with the boots and that I didn't have any major issues throughout the con. I also had the chance to do an incredible photo shoot at Peterland Family Entertainment Center. The venue was filled with lights and colors, creating an ideal setting for the arts theme. We were allowed to take pictures anywhere in the venue, and on top of that, we got to try out the different games. I'm so grateful for all the opportunities cosplay has given me in life. Each one has helped me to learn more about others and about myself. It has allowed me to grow as a person and to appreciate both the good and the bad experiences. So, what do you think? What part did you like the most? Do you have any questions? Leave them in the comments and I will try to answer them. Also, please let me know what you want me to talk about in my next videos. I'm open to requests. Subscribe to this channel, give this video a big like and share it with your friends. It helps us to continue growing and creating more content like this. And remember, the world needs people who dare to try new things, crazy things. We need creative minds who push boundaries, go beyond expectations and bring fiction to life while having fun in the process. Keep creating, see you next time.